Hey everybody, welcome to Takeoff with John Clark. We appreciate you listening to this podcast, and please subscribe for free to it, and also rate and review it. Tell us what you think of it, what you want to see more of or hear more of. We're all about it. And here are our guests. Ike Reese, former Eagles Pro Bowl linebacker and WIP host. He's going to break down Eagles Cowboys. And Fletcher Cox loves this rivalry. All right, let's welcome in Eagles defensive tackle Fletcher Cox. And Fletch, I know you've been here for a while in Philly, 9 or 10 years, and going into a Cowboys game. Is there just a different feel for Dallas week every year?
It always is a different week, man, when you're playing the Cowboys. I think I was just telling somebody anytime, the Eagles play the Cowboys, I think all the records, no matter records doesn't matter at that point. It's about respect. When you go to that, when you get ready to play them, and we're going to get their best game, and they'll get our best game, and you see who's the better team, when the clock hits zero.
And I saw that you were asked the toughest player you've ever played against. Is your answer still Tyron?
I mean, I played against a lot of tough players. He's one of the. Tyron played a lot of ball. Zach Martin got a lot of respect for that guy, and their offensive line, they played some ball together, they're all communicate. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be their O-line versus, our D-line, which I always look forward to. Tyrone, he's turning on the tape. He's still playing at a really high level. Zach's playing at a high level. All those guys are playing really good ball.
What's your favorite Eagles-Cowboys rivalry memory?
I think my favorite one, I think maybe 2013 or 14, when Brandon Boykin picked off Romo to seal the game. I think that was the most that was one of the most exciting games.
And how hyped do you still get to play on Monday Night Football when the whole country is watching you guys?
It's just one of them things. We travel on Sunday when most teams are playing, so you get to go. They've already played their game. We got to wait till the next day to play. But the whole entire country is watching, and you want to put on a show. No matter if you're playing on Sunday or Monday or Thursday, but you always want to the whole world's watching. Most all 30 teams has already played or whatever, and we get a chance to go out on Monday and play, and we're all excited about it. It's our first basically primetime game, so we'll be ready to go.
Brandon Graham hasn't missed a game because of injury in 10 years, and you've been next to him on that line for so many years. We saw how upset you were when BG went down. Have you talked to him, and how tough is it going to be to not have him out there for the rest of this year?
It's good. It's one of them things, I just got to make sure I'm mentally stable and ready to go. And it's going to be tough, like I was just telling Ike that Brandon and I been locker mates since the first day I arrived at NovaCare. And we've had a lot of conversations about life, a lot of conversations about football, just things about, just outside of football, about being like real humans. And, when you lose a guy like BG, obviously you lose a lot. You lose a leader, you lose a guy that always, no matter what kind of shape the game's going in, he's always positive about it. And he was always one of those guys that, if you needed to laugh or you need somebody to kind of bring you up, you just go talk to BG, and he always positive about it. And, we're going to miss that on the field. Obviously he'll still be around the locker room. It bothered me, that, obviously, when I saw him go down, I knew it was pretty serious, because I think I was probably the first one over there to go check on him. So it's always sucked, but right now is my main focus on now is making sure we get BG back healthy for next year, and whoever's playing beside me now just get on the same page that me and BG was on. It's a big shoes to fill, but either Ryan or Josh or whoever they decide to put over there, it's going to be good for us.
Do you have to adjust or do more as far as leadership or talk more because BG's not there?
No, you just gotta know who you are. Obviously, I speak a lot more than what I normally do, but I won't get out of character and try to be somebody, be something that I'm not. because that's just not good for me. It's not good for the team. It's not good for the players. You just got to know who you are, and just knowing all I can do is continue to lead the way I lead. Knowing that at the same time, that you got to get the respect either way. So just staying patient, and when guys need somebody to talk to, obviously they were able to do that before with both me, Beachy, and I, but now it's going to come down to me and a couple of those guys in the room that's played a lot of ball.
In the first two games, you've been double teamed more than any Eagle on that defensive line. If I were to ask you how many times you've been double teamed, how many plays, could you have a ballpark? Do you know?
Nah, I don't have a ballpark, man. I just my biggest thing is don't get frustrated, Fletch. That's what I tell myself. Don't get frustrated, Fletch. It's gonna come to you. It's gonna come to you. Just keep speaking to self, and then knowing my opportunity is gonna come, and knowing that know what anybody said about numbers and anything like that, but knowing that when the opportunity comes, I'll be there to make the play.
When you're double teamed, it obviously opens up opportunities for other guys. And in other sports, they give out assists. In hockey, they even give out 2 assists on goals sometimes. Do you think they should start giving out some assists for guys that are double teamed and open it up for other guys?
Nah, man. Nah, it's not about that, because I know at the end of the day that I'm not the only person out there. It's 10 more guys out there on the team, and for me, that knowing that that the players are going to come to me. So. I'm not asking for no pity. So I just got to continue to do what I'm doing, staying focused, and, be effective during the game.
Little trivia for you. With 6 straight Pro Bowls for you, there's only one guy in Eagles history who has more Pro Bowls in a row. Can you name that player?
Would it be Reggie or Dawkins?
Reggie White.
Yeah, Reggie White, yeah.
Is that pretty special with the amount of Pro Bowls you've been to? There's only a few Eagles who have been to more in your Eagles career. Is that a big honor for you?
Yeah, it is, man. It is. And that's the reason we work hard. That's the reason you put the blood and sweat and tears, and, your pride obviously has a lot to do with it. But that's the reason you go out and work hard. You always want to, be remembered as something. And to make it to 6 straight Pro Bowls is truly a blessing for me. And, and I really honestly never think about it that way. There's only one guy in Eagles history that's been as many as straight Pro Bowls as I have. And, I don't take that with a grain of salt at all. That's a big deal. And hopefully I can continue that this year.
You're doing some promotions for Tide. We're going to get to that in a second. Couple more football questions for you. After 2 games, this Eagles defense, you guys have only given up one big play of 20 or more yards. Do you have an identity for this Eagles defense yet?
Yeah, man. Just, our biggest thing is, not giving up big plays, not giving up X plays, not giving up those plays that's gonna hurt us. So, Coach stressed that a lot. He stresses a whole lot. And, for me, when you get a coach that expresses things like that, keeping people, and certain down the distance, not giving up big plays or balls over our head or basically runs that's hard to stop. For me, I think the identity of this team is just, everybody's just ready to work and, keep their head down and just doing their job. And I think that's a big part of it.
How have you helped your cousin, Kenny Gainwell, get used to the NFL? How do you think he's doing after a couple games?
I think it's helped. I say a few things to him, here and day in and day out, and just tell him, no, hey, look, since it's the preseason anymore, that the game will be really fast, and you really be going against every team's best every Sunday. So just the biggest things I tell him, hey, look, just be smart, take care of the ball, and and be the reason that we're good, be the reason that we win, and he takes so much pride in that. And you can't help but respect, a guy like that does those things. And he does all the little things right.
Hey, you're doing some promotion for Tide, and I really like this. Really helps the environment, helps a lot of things. I go cold when I wash all my clothes. So are you able to get a lot of your teammates and the Eagles organization to turn to cold?
We're working on that, but I think the Eagles organization, I think they're washing. Greg and those guys, Greg Delamitros and those guys are definitely switching to cold over there. One reason is probably save Mr. Leary a couple bucks, energy wise, and obviously, if it's me, I'm washing my stuff in cold because it's gonna save me, maybe 200, 150, $200 each month by turning to cold. But I'm really excited about, just joining with Todd and partnering up with them and, to get it out there. So I'm excited about it.
Is there anything else you want to let Eagles fans know about why they should turn to cold?
Number one, why they should turn to cold, they go to Todd.com and sign up to win a free washer. Number one, you win a free washer. Not only do you win a free washer, but you get your favorite Eagle voice on that washing machine. And I don't think anybody could beat that. You go wash your clothes and you hear Fletcher Cox on that washer. And me telling you to turn to cold, can't beat it. So I'm excited about that too.
So I'm picturing right now when they had you do the voiceovers, how many takes did it take you to get all those instructions down for the washing machine?
I'm okay at that. But it took, I think about 5 minutes to knock the whole entire thing out. So some of the voiceovers, but it took about 5 minutes to knock them out. Some of them was, pretty long to read, but I just had to lock in on what I was doing and get it right. And actually, add a little sauce to it. It kind of lets you have a little fun with it. So I was excited about that also.
Nice. I also read somebody asked you if you weren't doing what you do and you could play for any team in any sport in what position. It says you said you would like to be first baseman for the New York Yankees. Can you tell me why?
That's old. Where did you pull that from?
This is from this year's media guide, so they got to update it?
No, I mean, if I could do nothing else, I definitely want to be a first baseman. I'm a big dude and most, big athletic guy that, all I played first base growing up. So, it's just one of them things, just dream about, but obviously I'm playing football now. So, I'm a D tackle now. I've been playing for 10 years. So, first base, they play for 15 to 20 baseball. So, it's a blessing to be in either position.
With your size, how many homers would you hit?
I mean, I can get you probably one or two every other game. You know what I'm saying? A grand slam every now and then. So I don't think it's about the strength. I think it's about just connecting with the ball and hoping the pitcher throw you the right pitch.
Well, that's cool, man. The Phillies could insert you right into their lineup. They need a little offense, a little help right now. We appreciate the time, Fletcher.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, let's welcome in former Eagles Pro Bowler and Eagles analyst, Ike Reese. We appreciate you taking the time with us.
Always a pleasure, John. Great to see you, brother.
Hey, you too. I know you're probably getting a little tired of me. We've seen each other a lot over the last week, but this is a good thing because when we do Eagles game plan together, Fran Duffy's always telling us, hey, keep it quick. But you can be radio Ike here.
Yeah, and I enjoy being radio Ike. That gives me a little time to do what I like to do, which is talk. So when you're on TV, you know this better than anybody. You got time restrictions, so you got to get it in and get it out.
Yeah, you got people telling you rap. And don't worry, we don't have to take commercials here, Ike, so we're good to go.
Awesome. Well, let's do it, brother. Let's do it.
All right, so Eagles, Cowboys. Before we get into the X's and O's here, give me an idea when you first got to Philadelphia. Give me an idea of your first feeling, your first taste of Eagles, Cowboys rivalry. Maybe something somebody said to you.
Well, my first year in '98, we weren't a very good team. And I didn't necessarily grow up hating the Dallas Cowboys. I grew up more of as an AFC guy, Cincinnati Bengals, Miami Dolphins in the AFC. So I didn't really have any type of feeling for the Dallas Cowboys. But coming here, it doesn't take very long being in the city of Philadelphia as an Eagle, whether you're a player or a coach, before you understand how important this game is to the fan base. And that's really what most players and coaches are better served internalizing and sort of coming to grips with sooner rather than later. Forget about how you grew up and whether or not you were a Cowboy fan or didn't have any animosity. The fact of the matter is, in the city of brotherly love, there is no brotherly love for the Dallas Cowboys. And so I can't remember a specific moment where I realized how important it was to the fans, Obviously, it was a big week. It's ironic that my first game against the Cowboys was also on a Monday night. And it was at the Vet, and it wasn't pretty. 34-0.
Woo!
Yeah. Hold on. That wasn't even the worst part of it. 34-0. And I think I may have had, and I'm not exaggerating, John, I think I may have had 3 penalties in that game.
Ouch.
I think I may have had 3 penalties in that game. And so that added to the frustrating loss. And I remember the next day on my way into work and Angelo just going crazy about me. Who is this stupid rookie, Ike Reese? My goodness, if he commits another personal foul or block in the back, they ought to cut him right now. Angelo was literally talking about cutting me the next day after that Cowboy loss. So I laugh with he and Glenn Mack now about that all the time because as a player, I listen to the station. So I heard the frustration of the fans, and it was after that I realized how important that game was. And listen, I in college, we all have our rivalries. Michigan was my rival, and I know how much we dislike losing to those guys. I know how important that was to the fan base. I would say in the NFL, and especially with us as Eagles fans, that Cowboy dislike might be a notch or 2 above. Yeah, that thing is deeply rooted. And unless you have lived here long enough or experienced enough of those games, you truly don't understand how important it is to this fan base.
Yeah, wow. I was going to ask you for a great memory. It's obviously not that one. And it's interesting. Ike, you're telling me.
I got some positive ones now. That's just my first memory.
Right. And you're telling me that you would listen to sports talk radio all the time. Did a lot of your teammates?
No. Because in 98, we weren't very good. So that's one of the first things Mike Zordich told me was don't read the newspaper and don't listen to WIP.
So the first thing you did was put it on?
Of course, yes. It's like a kid. When you tell a kid not to do something, he goes, it's like, okay, why don't they want me to listen to WIP? And the funny thing is, I had never been a fan of sports talk radio. Like I'd never been a fan of sports talk radio, but it was so entertaining. Even the fans that were angry, it was like there was just different characters. They were callers, but I just saw them as different characters, and I just got it became sort of addictive listening to it. And quite frankly, I don't regret listening to it. Obviously, I don't regret listening because look where I'm at now. So, but most of the players, particularly the ones that are in the spotlight, the quarterback, receivers, guys of that nature, they wouldn't listen, but I found it entertaining. So most of the time it wasn't about me. So I could sit there and listen to it.
So you, if you're a rookie in the NFL, you'd be the first one jumping on Instagram, looking at all the comments?
Probably, yes, probably.
Oh man. What do you think is worse now? Do you think sports talk radio or the Instagram comments are worse now?
Oh, social media for sure. Social media for sure. Because at least on sports talk radio, you especially with Philadelphia, and it's unique to this area, the northeastern area, that the sports talk radio and with our callers, they are so loyal and dedicated to their particular shows. It's like a community. So you get to know them. Even if you're just a listener and you don't call, you become so used to hearing the same callers call up. It's like a town hall meeting every day. So I enjoy that. Social media can get nasty. It can get nasty, and people can hide behind the no picture or the egg as the emoji. And so I'm actually happy there was no social media when I played, because I don't know if I'd have been mature enough to handle it. I'm barely mature enough to handle it right now. So I concern myself more with my teenage kids navigating their way through social media more so than myself.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. Stay out of the comments section. So give me your favorite Eagles Cowboys memory as a player.
Oh, it's got to be the pickle juice game, right? It's got to be the pickle juice game. And the reason why I say it's the pickle juice game, because I believe that was the game that started our run to 5 straight playoff appearances, 4 divisional titles, 4 straight conference championship games, and a Super Bowl appearance. The Dallas Cowboys weren't necessarily the triplets. They weren't necessarily finished in the eyes of most fans, but physically they pretty much were. And I felt like that was the game that started the retirement party for the triplets. I mean, they retired one by one after that. Now, initially it started with Michael Irvin in 1999. We know the injury that happened at the vet, and he never played again. But I thought, and coincidentally, that was Andy Reid's first win. So Andy's first win came against the Cowboys also. That pickle juice game, to me, was the game where we announced that we aren't the old Philadelphia Eagles. This is a new era, and we're not going anywhere. We were young. We were brash. We were confident. Our coach was daring. You look at that coaching staff, it was just a perfect storm. It just really was. So I felt like that was the beginning. And let me throw this in there real quick, John. I happen to be 10-4 against the Dallas Cowboys as a player.
Oh.
So in my 7 years here, we beat them 10 times. So I feel good that I can say that was my record against the Dallas Cowboys when I was an Eagle.
Oh, so now I know we can title this. Ike Reese led the Eagles to domination over Dallas.
A small part of it.
There you go. By the way, I'm glad to see we don't see TV Ike. We are hearing radio Ike here. You are really letting it flow here.
Yeah, this is what you want, right? I got to give you what you want, baby.
This is what we want. Hey, so this is a great point you made about Andy Reid. He came in daring. He came in bold. He took the risk with the onside kick there to start the game, the pickle juice game.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking of Nick Sirianni here in his home opener as coach, where he tried the sort of quasi-Philly special. He tried to be bold. He tried to take a risk, and it really didn't work. When you look back on that whole series there in the red zone, 1st and goal at the 1, do you think that Nick and the coaches maybe got a little too cute instead of doing what really is the strength of the team and really could get them in the end zone?
The 4th down, the Philly play aside, I think he played to his personnel. Now there's legitimate questions that people will ask as to whether or not do we have the right personnel out there. In other words, where is Jordan Howard? A bigger back, somebody that can run between the tackles, somebody that could actually, if you're not going to use a fullback, who could actually break tackles in those short yardage situations. We haven't been a very good short yardage team in recent memory, especially if you take out the quarterback sneaks, right? Like we normally are good with quarterback sneaks, but giving a ball to a running back in that situation, we haven't been very good. John, I'll say this. There were a couple plays there where I thought there were some opportunities to score. And the one I particularly remember is the play where I think Jalen had the option of either rolling out, I think Miles was in front of him, and then Zach Ertz was the only receiver / tight end that was out on the route. I think if Jalen recognizes that immediately and he puts that ball on Zach Ertz, I think you have a touchdown. Because I thought Zach had a nice release and he got quick separation from Fred Warner. And, down there in the end zone, you're not going to get, that's not going to happen. So if you get this much, you got to take advantage of it. And you got to make quick decisions. So I thought there was an opportunity there to actually hit for a touchdown, and they missed out on it. The other plays, there was either missed blocks or you got to give credit to San Francisco for their defense. I didn't have as much of an issue with the Philly play. I know it didn't work, so it looks like it was a terrible call. Actually, if it hadn't worked in the Super Bowl, it would have been a terrible call there too. So I agree with Nick Sirianni when he says, when you make those decisions, they work. It's great. When it doesn't, you want to have them back. That's probably a play. He probably wishes he had called something else, but I just don't think that's where they missed their best opportunity to score. I thought there was some earlier plays there where they could have scored in that sequence.
Now, it's interesting. You brought up Jalen Hurts. Obviously, he had a very, very, very good season opener. And in the home opener, he obviously didn't have the same production with the passing game. In fact, he only had 39 yards passing in the second half. And you brought up letting that ball go. Quick decision and get that ball out. Do you think there were some different times in the home opener where he didn't make that quick decision to get that ball out and he was late?
Yeah. I mentioned that one. There's another one out there where when he wanted to hit, when he missed on the pass to Devontae Smith coming across the field, Dallas Goedert was in the flats as the number one read or the first option out to the flats. If you just get that ball out there to him to the flats, maybe he catches it and he turns it up the field and he picks up a first down, and now you have an opportunity to go and score it. Instead, it's a tough pass to make as you continue to extend that play, especially when you got a defender running down on you. So he missed Devontae, and I think they wound up having to settle for a field goal there. But that could have been an instance where you extended the drive and maybe you get a touchdown. But he also made some good throws, some good throws in the game, John. And the one thing about a young quarterback is that each week is a different learning experience, right? Just because he had a great game against the Atlanta Falcons and that defensive scheme, it doesn't mean the 49ers are going to give him the same exactly defensive scheme so that he can have the same success. So they're going to give you something different, and you have to have counters to that. But I think much like in that first game, what would have served him well in this game is sometimes when the 49ers are saying, we're going to give you the underneath stuff, you better take it. You got to take it. I know it can be frustrating to an offense when you're constantly just dinking and dunking, but when you're going up against a defense like the 49ers, sometimes you just got to take the first read and just keep the sticks moving.
Yeah, that's interesting because the Jets were saying that about Zach Wilson being a young quarterback. Sometimes boring is okay.
Yep.
Ike, let's talk about this Eagles-Cowboys matchup because it is daunting for this Eagles defense to go face that Cowboys offense. I mean, they are just rolling up yards out there with that offense. Dak Prescott, he's completing like 76% of his passes, one of the top completions percentage in the NFL. Now you've got CeeDee Lamb, you've got a whole bunch of receivers, and now you got two running backs to worry about.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we know this Dallas Cowboys offense is as advertised. Dak was always going to be the main key. How does he come back from his injury? Is he mobile? And then you had the shoulder issue in training camp. So would he be able to throw the ball? He's still not throwing the ball down the field. You know, the first 2 weeks, there's been a lot of stuff in that intermediate range, 20 yards and under. Even last week, John, Dallas showed they don't have to throw the ball to beat you. So they used the running backs last week, Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. So you bring up our defense, and I honestly believe we pay a lot of attention to the offense for good reason, but the defense is the strength of our team. And we're going to go as far as our defense can take us. And by the way, I thought our defense played well enough for us to win Sunday. You'll like to get some takeaways, but you hold a team to 17 points, you're supposed to win that game. So, but the same thing, the pressure is going to be on the defense this week. I don't think you could expect the Eagles to go out there and win a shootout in Dallas. It has to be low 20s, 20-17, 24-21. And it's going to be interesting to see what Jonathan Gannon devises as a defensive scheme. What do you want to take away? Do you want to make Dallas a throwing team, or do you want to make them a running team? And let me throw this in here, John. I'm not so sure how healthy Dak's shoulder is right now. And I'm not so sure that didn't play into last week's Sunday's game playing against the Chargers. They didn't have him throw as much. I was shocked in that first game versus Tampa. He dropped back 60+ times in that game. Coming off shoulders soreness, that's not smart, Mike McCarthy. So I think they dialed it back last week versus the Chargers. I think he threw maybe 28 times last week. So they didn't throw as much. They ran, and he's still throwing the ball short. So we may have to play this game where you know what? If Dak is going to dink and dunk the ball down the field, okay, we can't give up huge plays over our head, and you can't allow Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard to just run the ball down your throat, because that's demoralizing. So if anything, I'm starting with stopping that run first. You got to stop Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard.
And it's interesting because Eagles defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon has been preaching turnovers, strips in practice, and they have no turnovers so far. I'm kind of thinking they're going to need a turnover in this game in Dallas to win this one. Do you agree?
At least two. I believe you got to take at least 2 possessions away from Dallas to get a big win on the road. And Dak, who threw an interception last week, doesn't have the same zip on his throws. So I think there could be some opportunities there. Listen, it sucks that we lost BG, we lost Brandon, but man, Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox through these first 2 games, and particularly Javon Hargrave, and you can throw a Hassan Ridgeway in there as well. They have been dominating the first 2 weeks, and I think you're going to need that effort. Put it this way, if we win the matchup of our interior defensive lineman versus that Cowboys interior offensive line, meaning we can push that pocket and stop the run, the Eagles will win this football game.
All right, so help everybody out with Fletcher Cox, because he has been double teamed 26 times, most on the Eagles defensive line in the first 2 games. And Javon Hargrave, he's making a lot of the big plays, and people don't hear Fletcher Cox's name a whole lot. Is he getting the job done?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And the film don't lie, John. We break down the film. We see Fletcher out there getting double, triple team. If they don't double or triple team him, they're certainly turning the protection to whichever side he's lined up on. And that's going to happen at times. And Fletcher isn't as young as he once was. So there used to be a time where we would move Fletcher out to defensive end, right? He could play D tackle or defensive end. He doesn't play defensive end as much anymore, primarily because we have better defensive ends, and he's just not as young as he once was. So his clear-cut advantage usually is on the inside. But the thing I want to bring up to that is Fletcher is going to get his. He just can't get frustrated. Keep doing what you're doing, Fletcher. Your teammates are benefiting from all the attention that he's getting. And I guarantee you, Javon Hargrave and Hassan Ridgeway keep making tackles for losses and blowing up and getting penetration. They're going to soon say, we got to pay attention to number 97. We can't devote all this attention to Fletcher, because Javon, remember, prior to the Eagles signing him as a free agent, he had Pro Bowl potential labeled upon him. So I think we forget how good he was in Pittsburgh because of the injuries last year. Man, he is reminding everybody that, listen, we got a pretty good signing at defensive tackle last year. I couldn't be more impressed with the way Javon Hargrave is playing. Fletcher's numbers will come. As long as those other guys keep doing what they're doing, eventually offensive lines will have to turn their attention to those guys.
I really think that the loss of Brandon Graham hurts the Eagles more than the loss of Brandon Brooks. And my opinion is because the rotation on the defensive line, it now means Ryan Kerrigan is going to have to play more. And I thought he'd be really good as a guy you bring in on, situational passing downs. And then Josh Sweat is probably going to have to play more. And you might have to move Derek Barnett around. So do you think the loss of BG is that big?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. And because it's a season-ending injury. At least we know Brandon Brooks is scheduled to come back at some point over the next 4 or 6 weeks, whatever, how long it's going to take for him to hit up. So he'll be back. Brandon Graham being gone all year hurts so much more and is so much more impactful on that side of the ball for those very reasons you brought up, John, the rotation. I mean, having the depth on defensive line makes your defensive line stronger. Now you're asking guys who can give you a good 20 plays, 20 to 25 plays. Now they have to give you a good 40 to 45 plays. And Brandon was a 3-down player. He was arguably your best run-stuffing defensive end, as well as your second-best pass rusher out there. So you're going to have to fill those shoes. It's going to be a collective effort. but no doubt about it, losing BG was a major blow. And we're only talking about on the field. We're not even talking about off the field and in the locker room. We're just talking about on the field.
Like, as a defensive guy, Darius Slay, it looks like he's been doing a really good job in that secondary. This is going to be obviously their biggest test with the number of receivers that they have with the Cowboys. How is Steve Nelson and that secondary with Darius Slay, how have they held up?
I like what I've seen. I really have. I mean, Deebo Samuel had a couple plays. That was more of a 10-yard pass that he ran to 40 yards as opposed to a ball getting thrown over your head like we saw forever for the last 3 to 5 years, balls being thrown over our head. And in talking to Darius the other night, he talked about the scheme that Jonathan Gannon has them playing in. That's going to allow them to play more with their eyes on the football and towards the quarterback, as opposed to being in a lot of single high man coverage. It's hard to get turnovers when you're in man coverage, right? So when you're playing more zone coverage, you got an opportunity to see the ball being thrown. If it's tipped, you're going to get a chance to make those interceptions. We had 2 balls Sunday that should have been picked off. I know both of those DBs wish they had another opportunity at picking those passes off that was tipped. But also, not necessarily relying solely on bringing extra pressure. So what I mean by that is if you can get pressure with those guys up front without bringing extra guys back there, those windows are going to be tighter for quarterbacks to fit passes in. And with Dak Prescott still nursing his shoulder, I could see some balls being picked off this weekend because he doesn't have as much zip on his throws. And the fact that Amari Cooper is banged up, Michael Gallup is out, you really got to be able to focus on CeeDee Lamb and see if Dak Prescott trusts anybody else to go to with the football.
By the way, when you do your show with Slay, do you call him Darius? Because he doesn't like to be called Darius.
No, he does, and I do not call him Darius. And that I almost corrected myself right there because I'm so used to correcting myself. But I'm so used to talking. Listen, we call these guys by their first name. Name is Darius. So, I figured talking to you, I can get away with calling him Darius. But no, I would not say Darius to him. I have corrected myself a couple of times.
Yeah, he's funny that way. Ike Reese, by the way, is an ambassador for a program with the Eagles in AAA. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, about how you can become a member. Let me ask you about the schedule, Ike, because I see, you got this Cowboys game in Dallas Monday night. Boy, then you got the Chiefs coming in here. Then you're on the road to Carolina. Then you got Tampa Bay coming in here on a short week. Then a trip to Oakland. I believe that's the schedule. I think so.
Yeah.
So Ike, if the Eagles don't get this game in Dallas, you could be looking at 1-3, 1-4, 1-5, 2-6, something like that.
Yes.
Now, going into this season, when you looked at the schedule, is that kind of what you thought? And did after the first game, maybe you started to think, wow, maybe this team is better than we thought?
I say yes to all those things, John. And then let me explain it real quick. Looking at the schedule, I thought it would be a tough start to the season. That's why I thought it was so critical that they got that game in Atlanta. I thought that would be a very winnable game. And to your point, coming out of that Atlanta game, they looked better than I expected because we didn't see them all training camp, all preseason, so we didn't know what to expect, which gave them more than a puncher's chance against San Francisco. The problem is you play a team like San Francisco and you don't take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves, San Francisco is going to make you pay. And that's what happened. So you sort of learn your lesson when you're playing a caliber of a team like San Francisco. The margin for error is very minimal. And it gets even smaller as the schedule goes over the next 4 to 5 weeks. But here's what I'll say. And let me say this to Eagles fans. There's nothing wrong with getting excited about your football team. We all hope they go 17-0. It's not happening. We know that now for a fact that they won't go undefeated. For me, this year was about steady improvement and steady growth. And really being disciplined with myself of not placing unrealistic expectations on this team. Allow this team to grow. Allow this coaching staff to grow. And as long as I feel better about the team at the end of the season than I did early in the season, I can take that. For me, this year is about finding out what we have from a core standpoint. Can Jalen be our guy moving forward? Like, that's what this year is about for me as an Eagles fan, is that I want to see what we have. This is more like 2016 for me, right? When Doug and Carson first took over for that era. And I think the Eagles will be better the second half of the season. It's tough sledding for a rookie head coach and a quarterback who really came into the season with only 4 starts under his belt. The way the schedule was at the beginning of the year, you would almost need everything to be a perfect storm to get off to a hot start. Doesn't mean they can't beat Dallas Monday. Doesn't mean they can't beat any of those other teams that are coming up next. It just means I feel it's unfair to expect them to beat those teams. We hope they do, but I wouldn't be surprised if things don't necessarily fall our way.
And, that second half of the season, they don't even have to get on a plane for the last 2 months.
Right.
And you got 6 games against the division and the Jets.
Yes.
So if you can hang around in the division, you can make some hay the second half of the season when you kind of learn about each other. And Nick and Jalen, they're learning on the job here.
Yeah. I mean, the coaching staff is still learning what these players are good at versus what they aren't. And the quarterback head coach situation, that's going to be an ever-evolving situation week to week. Man, go back and look at some of Donovan's early starts, man. You know what I'm saying? Go back and look at some of
0-5.
Yeah. Well, and even him as an individual player, he got better. But there were some weeks where we're like, Lord, he was missing throws. So it's going to happen with young players and a young coaching staff. We got to give them time. It's on us, and I know this is difficult. It's on us as fans to be patient and give them the time.
Oh, don't look at the comment section after this. Stay away.
Stay away.
Hey, Ike, you're an ambassador for something that's pretty cool with the Eagles and AAA, a membership plan for Eagles fans. Let everybody know about it.
Man, I am so excited. This thing has taken off like hotcakes too, John. I partnered up with AAA over the summer, and we are going with this campaign of becoming a AAA Eagles MVP member, right? If you're already a AAA member, as I was, switching over to become an Eagles MVP member is very easy for you. All you got to do is go to AAA.com/Eagles. Make sure you sign up to become an Eagles MVP member. And here are some of the cool things that becoming a member will get you. All right, first of all, we all love Eagles swag, right? Eagles gear. So you go to the pro shop, you get 15% off merchandise at the pro shop when you're an Eagles MVP member. That's pretty cool. Then how about this? You get to go to cool Eagles events, whether it's practices or maybe it's a special AAA/Eagles event that you'll be invited to. You have an opportunity to win tickets to an Eagles game, be on the sideline before the game, getting a chance to see the players. So, man, it's a great opportunity. It's a great club to be a part of. Come on, John, we all like to be in a cool club. This is the cool club. Are you a AAA Eagles? Are you a AAA member?
Not right now, but I think I'm gonna right after this.
Yeah, come on, man. Be a part of the cool club.
You gonna let me in the cool club?
Yes. And you got good looks, so you definitely fit in the cool club. Remember, AAA.com/Eagles to become an Eagles MVP member. Yes, sir.
Man, you're getting good at this. You've come a long way since Angelo said you should be cut. Hey, by the way,
it's called progress. Check this out, John. See, and the Philly fans were patient with me, and they gave me time. And look at what I blossomed into.
Man, you just tied it all together, too. You're good at this. Are you going to have enough for your radio show today after you let all these pearls of wisdom out there?
Hey, listen. I got enough in the tank, baby. It's Cowboys week. The only time we empty the tank is on Monday night. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
You are fired up. Hey, I didn't want to take away from your reps. I don't want to give you too many reps. We gotta bring you along slowly to build you up for your radio show. Always enjoy listening to you on the radio show. And one thing that's fascinating me right now, Ike Reese, is I know Philadelphia from growing up here, and the athletes that really hurt Philly are the ones who say, I want out, that they wanted to leave. If a player leaves because they weren't offered enough money here and they go somewhere else, that's one thing. But I see an incredible fascination still with Carson Wentz. I see it in the numbers of people clicking on his interception, with the shovel pass, which I have never seen, by the way. Have you seen that? Have you ever seen that before?
I'm pretty sure it's happened before. That was the tight end's fault, too.
Yeah, you're right.
The tight end got blown up by Aaron Donald.
Yeah. So as the head of, what was it called? The Bronco?
Listen, don't mess up the name. It's the LTBB, Let the Bronco Buck. Yes.
Okay. LTBB as the head of that organization.
Yes. El Presidente, yes.
El Presidente. So tell me, what is it like on sports talk radio? Because I still hear people talking about him, and it's almost like they kind of want him to fail in Indianapolis, but then they realize that, hey, Eagles would right now, I believe, get a top 6 pick from the Colts if he plays 75% of the snaps.
Yeah. Listen, it's like having an ex-girlfriend that the breakup is still fresh. You're not necessarily over it yet, even though you got a new girlfriend and she's gone on with someone else. You're not over it yet. And I think that's in part because, listen, Carson Wentz had a lot of fans here. I think there are still some Carson Wentz fans here. But more importantly, there was a lot of hope and faith put into Wentz. And we thought that was going to be the quarterback here for the next 10 years. And it didn't work out. And I don't need to rehash all that stuff. But I just think it's a part of it is because people care. And they realize, whether they want to admit it or not, they know the kid is talented. If he's healthy and he can play, he's talented. Because I don't remember anybody caring about Sam Bradford leaving here. I don't remember anybody caring that Mark Sanchez wasn't here anymore. Kevin Cobb wasn't here anymore. I don't remember anybody caring that those guys were no longer in Eagles midnight green. There's a fascination with Carson Wentz, in part because we allowed ourselves to believe and dream of the possibilities. And quite frankly, John, some of us still can't believe that it ended the way that it ended.
Yeah. Especially 3.5 years after a Super Bowl that he was a huge, huge part of.
Yeah. And I think if quite frankly, you obviously want him to play 75% of the plays. I don't think people care how many games the Colts win. They most importantly want him to be out there for 75% of the plays.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the whole reason this all started is because he really is having a hard time staying healthy, and you feel for the guy. But that's why they drafted Jalen Hurts, because they needed a backup quarterback to play because he wasn't healthy.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with
no,
that.
it's just fascinating. And right now, Ike Reese, the Eagles next year would have 3 picks in the top 13.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a lot of stuff there. I think once this season is over with and the Eagles sort of know what they're getting in return for trading Carson to the Colts, I think the majority of the fan base will move on. There'll always be a small portion of the fan base that keeps an eye on him, and they're going to revel in his failures if he doesn't play well, if he doesn't have success. Just for me, John, it's not in my nature to root for the downfall for individual players, individual athletes. And somebody who can't necessarily shake the injury bug as a former athlete, that's not any fault of his own. It's just bad luck. Like, that's what it is. So I don't know what else to say than that. I think people will be better served if you spend less time putting negative energy or emotion towards something that doesn't impact your life on a daily basis. You'll be a happier person.
I agree, man. I'm getting some therapy here from you as well. Thank you. Two quick things, and then we can wrap this up. Ike, what do you think about these taunting penalties? I mean, I see a receiver get up and spin the football near the DB, taunting penalty. He says one or two words, taunting penalty. What do you think of this?
Stupid. I don't know where the complaint came from. The owners decided that was something they wanted to vote on and implement this year. And I don't know, other than the owners, who agrees with it. Like, I don't know anybody who agrees with it. We all recognize what over the top taunting is. Like, we all can see that it's obvious. Guys showing emotion and sort of in a moment's notice, forgetting whether or not they're facing the opponent or facing a teammate or the crowd. Like, you got to allow for these players to be human. Like, do we want excitement in the game? Do we want fun in the game? Or do we want flags in the game? I got news for you, No Fun League. We don't want more flags in the game. Nobody does. Nobody does. Stop coming up with rules to throw flags. Stop it.
And I think everybody likes to see a little talking back and forth out on that field.
Man, I could say some other things, but I'm not gonna even go down that road. Listen, I'm already the old guy yelling, "Get off my lawn," as it is. So, I played with some guys, and myself, if you told me I couldn't taunt or talk smack to the opponent, well, you might as well make me inactive that day. Like, how can I play? I can't play. You think Brian Mitchell could play football without taunting and talking smack to somebody? No way possible. Trey Thomas, Hollis Thomas, Hugh Douglas, Jeremiah Trotter, Brian Dawkins. Come on, man. These are some of the best trash talkers I've played with. The best.
Oh, man, I would have loved to have heard some mic'd up segments with you guys. All right.
Some of the best.
Oh, man. Finally, did you hear Gronk? Gronk said that he does not watch any film whatsoever. And he says every week he just asks Tom Brady who's going to be covering him.
Right.
Now, Ike, is this a complete rarity in the NFL? Or
no, it's a complete lie is what it is. Listen, I love Gronk. I love Gronk because Gronk, the one thing I'll give Gronk credit for, Gronk has said, okay, y'all want to put me in this box? I'll play in this box, then. I'll play in this box. And Gronk is a very smart man who plays sort of the meathead role that I'm not very smart. I'm just walking through life, lucky and fortunate. No, Gronk is arguably the greatest tight end to ever play the game. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, he may not study and watch as much film as others, but what he's basically implying is he goes out on the field not knowing what to do and needs to be told what to do. See, he just said, you know what? Forget how bad that sounds to people. Forget how that sounds for my coaches if they hear me say that, right? Like, what do you think his coaches are saying to that? So I took that as Gronk just being Gronk. Like, Gronk just being Gronk. He may not be the most studious guy and watch the most film, but there's no way Gronk doesn't know what he's doing or doesn't watch film. There's no way.
You know what? You're right. He sucked me in with that. And I think you're right because he plays that role in his commercials, so it leads to a lot more cash.
Yeah, exactly. Gronk is smart. And listen, let me give you two more examples of how smart he is. And he told this story Sunday, too. The Patriots were ready to trade him to Detroit a couple years ago.
Yep.
He tells them, how can you trade me? I'm retired. I'm not playing anymore. So the trade basically gets called off. He decides not to retire, stays with the Patriots. They go on and beat Atlanta for that Super Bowl. So he kept from getting traded to Detroit. And then he decided, you know what? I will retire for a year, get out of New England because him and Tom has cooked this scheme up. And when Tom Brady decides where he's going to go when he leaves New England, I'll come out of retirement. Gronk got everybody fooled, baby. He's the smartest man.
Genius.
Gronk's,
he is a genius. And now they're living it up in Florida.
Yes.
Ike Reese, good call on spelling that out and sniffing that out for us. That's smart of you, too.
Well, listen, it takes one to know one.
Ike Reese, appreciate the time. Listen for Ike Reese on WIP Radio every day. Eagles Game Plan. I have the pleasure of working with him on that. Ike, you're one of the best here in Philly. We love your personality. And time for a commercial break.
All right, brother. Talk to you later.
Mom so flagrant.